So I thought what might be quite useful, there's a lot of familiar faces to us on the call, but it might be useful for us just to do a quick introduction about who we are, and for any new people or people that haven't perhaps met Susie yet. So just to introduce myself, so I'm the Future Careers Manager for Minerals Matter. I've been in this role for just over 2 years now. My background is more in kind of social value roles, and in particular careers education roles. So I actually used to work with Lauren in the East Midlands Careers Hub, engaging with careers leads and educators in schools about careers education. So I've sort of moved into this role with that kind of background in careers. I've also worked in the aviation industry. So I worked at East Midlands Airport, local to me, for 10 years, developing education programs, volunteering programs, and now I'm really enjoying this role in the minerals industry, which is so varied, but it helps bring that knowledge that I've gained from other roles into this sector as well. So that's me. I'll hand over to Susie.
Yeah, hi everyone. I think I know a few of you on the call, but for those of you who haven't met before, so I joined Minerals Matter in May last year to bring on the minerals and mining element of the extractives industry. So there's been a lot of work done on the quarrying side. So MPQC partnered up with Mining Association of the UK to fund my role to bring in the minerals and mining aspect. My background is I was a D&T teacher in Cornwall for a few years, so I can kind of bring in that element of working in schools, know what it's like to engaging with young people, a lot of resource development, that kind of thing. I then moved across into the industry to gain a bit of industry knowledge, and I was very fortunate to be able to bring my teaching experience into the roles that I've done. I've done a lot of dissemination work across a variety of different projects, from geothermal projects to mining education projects, and I'm really keen to help Hannah to expand the Minerals Matter initiative into the minerals and mining sector.
Thank you, Susie. So Minerals Matter, Susie and I are kind of permanent members of the team, and then there's all sorts of different people that we work with, ambassadors. We've got Daryl, who works on the marketing side, Lisa, who does some consultancy work. So we are quite a small team, but we get an awful lot of support from companies, from our ambassador network as well. So we're a big team of lots of other people, but the actual Minerals Matter team is relatively small. So just to talk about some of the plans that we've got this year, it's a busy year. It always seems to be a busy year with lots of different events and campaigns and things that we look to support. So just thought it was useful to go through some of those activities that we've already got in the pipeline. So in a couple of weeks' time, maybe 3 weeks' time, it's National Apprenticeship Week, and for the 3rd year running, we are doing a broadcast on the Tuesday of National Apprenticeship Week. This is in collaboration with some of our partners, some of the companies that we work with across both the quarrying side and the mining side, and that's a broadcast that will go out to young people, educators, careers leads as well, to share more about the minerals industry. So we will give an overview of the industry to begin with, and then young people will hear from an organisation who recruits a lot of apprentices in, but also a couple of apprentices as well, to share why they decided to go down that route rather than university, the benefits of it. So we've got that coming up in February, and then a similar broadcast we're also doing in March for National Careers Week, which will again use the platform to share more about the minerals industry and some of the different careers within that. We have got a slot available for that broadcast. One of our companies haven't been able to provide one of the videos that they were going to. So if anyone would like to get in touch, if they're interested in doing a slot for the National Careers Week broadcast, it's essentially like a Q&A with a company who put the broadcast together, and it would be, they would ask you questions about your job, why you got into the industry, into the job, best bits about your job, all that sort of thing. And it would be for about 7 to 8 minutes, so it's not very long. But if anyone is interested in showcasing both your job but your company in the industry, just drop Susie or I an email. The timescales are quite tight, so we would need to get it done in the next couple of weeks, but that would be great if there is someone who may want to get involved in that. There's an apprenticeship fair at the University of Derby on the 11th of February that we are supporting. So that again obviously is for National Apprenticeship Week as well. Then a lot of you will know that we were at the Big Bang Fair, which is the UK's largest STEM fair for young people. We trialled it for the first time last year, and it was a collaborative approach with a few different companies from the sector, and it was really, really well received and a really positive experience for us. So we're going to do the same this year, hopefully maybe have 1 or 2 more companies than we did last year, but we will be there for the 3 days in June to engage with thousands of young people. They're sort of year 6 to year 9, so 10 to 14, and it's a great way just to get the word out there to young people in the industry. And then later on in June is the Hillhead Show, which is the I don't know if it's also the UK's largest quarry exhibition in Buxton. So in the past few years we've brought some school children onto site on the last day to experience the fair and have a look around some of the stands. So we'll be doing that again this year on the last day, on the Thursday, just to get not many students, probably about 20 from the local area up in the High Peak, to kind of have a look at how big the industry is and really get a feel for some of the companies within it. So we will be doing that. Last year we worked with a couple of careers hubs, including the East Midlands Careers Hub, on some teacher encounters, which are events for teachers and educators and careers leads to book onto. They can go onto a local business or a local site to understand more about that industry, and engage with some of the staff from that business. So one of the encounters that we did last year was at Breedon, and one of their quarry sites in the High Peak, and we had some teachers and careers leads from the East Midlands area come onto the site. They did a tour, and they met with quite a few different members of staff, including some apprentices, and it really just helped them understand more about the industry, what goes on, and information that they can then take to their students to help them understand more about the industry, because as we all know, young people don't tend to understand that much about what goes on in the minerals industry. So I think one teacher encounter is already planned for this year in the Mansfield area, and we're looking to organise another as well, and that is something that is available in different careers hubs throughout the UK. So even though we've been doing it with the East Midlands Careers Hub, there are other careers hubs that you can connect with to look at that. So we'd love to see more of those, because it's a really great way for us to actually work with the teachers and get the message out to the teachers, which can then filter down to students. And we've got our ambassador network meetings all planned out. So the box on the right will just explain what the different themes are. You should all have the invites in your diary already. If you haven't, just let us know and we can send them out again. I'll just hand over to Susie now to explain a bit more about our resources and some of the bits we've been working on.
Thanks, Hannah. Yeah, so we've now created a web page on our website that has a range of different resources available. And what we've done is split it up into key stages. So we've got key stage 2, key stage 3, and then some careers. So some resources around how to engage with careers elements, and also some videos, just some general videos. These are just some examples of what we've got on that web page. Obviously, we've got the mineral mission boxes, which are still available I think we have 12 now, which are throughout the UK. So they're available for ambassadors to hire out for a day. So if you're going to do a workshop in a school, you can hire them out. But also they work quite well if you're going to go to a careers event as a way to kind of grab the attention of the younger people. And you don't have to run the whole workshop. You can just use it as a tool, really. So they're available. And if you'd like to get in touch with us about hiring one of those, please do through the website. We'll just ask you to fill out a form and then we'll arrange getting the boxes to you. We've got a quarry restoration activity, and that is just a great way to get students to understand about restoration and how that can be done. And we've just added a STEM primary activity book that was created by one of our ambassadors, Sharon Strugnell. And that's a Key Stage 3 version, but she's also working on a Key Stage 4 version at the moment. So once that's available, we'll then add that to the website as well. Yeah, so you can go onto the website and you can find lots of different activities there. And if anyone's got anything that they would like to share with us that we can link to, please reach out to us and we'll put a link on that page so other people can use it as well. Next slide, please, Hannah. We've also got a calendar on the website now, which we're updating as we go. And this is just to show what events are happening, mostly national events. We're starting to put a little bit of local events on there as well, but more of the national ones and the ones that Minerals Matter are obviously involved in. So you can see what's coming up over the year. We've also started to add in some of the kind of international days that you can get involved with individually or as a company, just to keep you aware of what's coming up. And they are around, we've got the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, that's happening in February. And then International Day of Mine Awareness and Assistance in Mine Action, that's happening on Saturday, the 4th of April. So these are days that you can just get involved in. Quite a few of them have resources available that you can go to their website and you can use in your own outreach. So please have a look and see if there's anything that's relevant for you. Next slide, please, Hannah. The other thing that we're trying to do is reach out to the younger people through social media. And I must admit, I'm not a TikTok user, but we are trying to use this platform to reach that younger audience. And what we're doing is we're doing these ambassador spotlights. So we're spotlighting people. We've spotlighted Mark, who I know is on the call, and Bethany, who's on the call as well so far. And what we'll do then is we'll just add a small video onto the website, onto TikTok, so that it tries to reach that younger audience. So if you fancy following us, the Minerals Matter tag is on the bottom of that slide there. And also, if you have any videos that we'd like to reshare, please also let us know and we'll reshare it onto our channel. Next slide, Hannah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. Brilliant. So yeah, just a few new things that Susie's been working on to give you guys more information through our website, to hopefully just obviously help with your role as the ambassador. We've been through this before, but just to kind of remind you all of how we can help support you as ambassadors. We want you to feel like you've got the information that you need, the resources that you need to be able to confidently go into schools and engage with young people. So as Susie said, we've got the resources available on the website, the welcome packs that we send out to all new ambassadors. So some are en route, I sent last week, but you should all have a branded t-shirt, a pin badge and a welcome letter. We're not saying that you have to adopt our branding when you go out into schools, because obviously a lot of the time you are doing this on behalf of the organisation that you work with. So obviously it's absolutely fine to go and represent the companies that you work for. But if you did want to show the Minerals Matter branding and that kind of collective, then this just kind of helps you do that. Monthly update emails. So we were sending out an email through MailChimp, sort of every month or so, maybe every 2 months, just to give you some updates on what's coming up, sort of any information that you need about the STEM platform. We'll continue to do that probably on every other month, because we realise that you do also get emails through from STEM. We don't want to bombard you with too much stuff. So the plan is that we will send those emails every other month. And if you've subscribed to our newsletter on LinkedIn, that gives you access to information of things that we've been up to, kind of past events and things like that. So feel free to sign up for that if you haven't. And that's where we show the ambassador spotlight as well. And each month we are looking for ambassadors to share a little bit more about why they've become ambassadors, what kind of outreach they do. So if anyone wants to get involved and be our spotlight for the month, please let us know, and we can get in touch with you at the right time. We've got videos that on our YouTube channel. We're always looking for more videos. There's lots of content out there, but it's getting access to the files so that we can upload them onto YouTube. So again, if anyone's got any good videos that they've seen or that they've worked on, please let us know, because we'd love to showcase them on YouTube. And then you can embed them into your presentation, them into schools as well. I know Bethany's done that with some of her slides that she'll show, and that's a great way to get some visual and engaging content out to the young people. STEM Learning offer lots of different training and CPD, so when you get updates from them, have a scan through if there's anything that's suitable through them. Obviously we've got our ambassador meetings planned as well, which will help give you sort of insights into different topics. And for new ambassadors, if you do want to buddy up with another ambassador, if you're not quite sure how to get started, but you'd like to see what somebody else does, we can have a look at who is local to you, and you could go out with them and sort of see what they're doing. So different options available just to help you in your journey. And then just finally, before we hand over to Lauren, just a bit of an update on the STEM platform. So it was a bit of a process getting this new platform live, which if you kind of go on it fairly regularly, you might have realised, but it is up and running now. There are still some bugs that they're working on, but I think they've got a list on the platform now of what it is that they're still working on. So hopefully it keeps us all a bit more up to date with what's happening. If you have got any issues that you find when you're going on maybe to record your hours or going to look for activity, please let us know, because we can collate a list of any issues that there are and then take that back to STEM. And then just a couple of reminders. What's really important for us is being able to record and report on the data that we get through the system. So when you're going out to do activity, please remember to record it on the system, because then we get a really good understanding of the impact that our ambassadors have on education and on young people. I think we have either got or we're doing just a quick video to show how to log your hours, so we can send that out. And we've also got a video on how to add an offer on the STEM platform. So if you've got a particular presentation that you're really comfortable delivering, and you're happy for teachers local to you to pick that up and request that in their schools, you can add it as an offer on the platform. So for example, I've added an offer for the mineral mission box, because we've got some local to Derby. So I've added that as an offer to say that I can go into a school, do an hour-long session all around the mineral mission box. And so far I've had 4 bookings through from that. So it's a really great way, if you're not quite sure of which school to go to, or that first step, adding an offer can really help get your offer in front of teachers on the STEM platform. So the next slide has got that video. I'm not going to show it now, but we'll send that out, and it explains how you can do that. It's all very simple. It's pretty self-explanatory, but it's just a great way to get your offers out in front of the teachers. Okay, I think that's it for our slides. So I'll stop sharing there and just open it up if anyone's got any questions before we hand over to Lauren. No, I can't see any hands up. If there's anything anyone wants to follow up on with what we've said, just drop us an email. We're more than happy to go through anything again. But Lauren, I will hand over to you if that's okay. Bring your slides up.
Thank you. I'll just wait for them to pop up, but thank you for having me, everyone. Yes, my name's Lauren and I'm the operations manager at Anglo Careers Hub. So I'll talk you through what we do and the different ways that you can be involved.
That all okay?
Yes, thanks, Hannah.
Okay.
So thank you for taking the time to join today. It is a pleasure to be partnering with Minerals Matter. And today's session is very much about partnership, specifically how education and industry can really work together to ensure young people across the East Midlands are equipped with the knowledge, the skills and the experiences that they need to be able to make informed career decisions. Throughout this slide, I will introduce who we are, explain why careers education is such a critical part of the education system, outline why employer involvement, particularly from yourselves here at Minerals Matter, is so important, and start to explore some of the practical ways that you can really engage with schools and colleges in a way that's really meaningful, sustainable and impactful. So could you just move the slide on, Hannah, please?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just thought I would outline here, and what might be useful is that wider context and who is who to give you a picture of how everything links. So careers hubs were set up to make sure that every young person in England has access to really good careers guidance and opportunities. And the Department for Education commissioned the Careers and Enterprise Company to help schools and colleges provide this, and that's how careers hubs were created. So there are now 44 careers hubs up and down the country, all bringing together schools, colleges, employers and local partners to give young people practical experiences and real connections to the world of work. So across England, the Careers Hub network now covers 93% of schools and colleges. So that's nearly every young person in the country really getting access to that better guidance and employer links. And here in the East Midlands, we're really proud to be part of that network, helping students to discover their potential and find the best next steps that are right for them. And we will dig into the local picture on the next slide, but here in the East Midlands, whilst our Careers Hub has been established since 2015, our story took a new step in June 2024 when we became part of the East Midlands Mayoral Combined Authority. So we're now called MCARE Careers Hub. So we've had a little bit of a rebrand, had a little bit of a shift. But being part of MCARE means that we're working really closely with the region's skills and employment priorities, making sure careers support really fits local opportunities. And as the operations manager in the Careers Hub, I manage a team of 6 who work directly with career leaders. So these, as many of you know, are the individuals within schools and colleges that are responsible for planning careers programmes. And our role and my team will go out into schools and act as that bridge between education and the world of work, to look at opportunities as well. Next slide, please, Hannah. So we look after a brilliant patch of the East Midlands, Derby, Derbyshire, Nottingham and Nottinghamshire. 4 very, very different areas, each, I would say, with their own personality, but all kind of with that same big goal, really helping young people to figure out their future and really see what's possible. So across our patch, we're working with 175 schools and colleges, including more than 30 SEND and AP, and 6 colleges. So it's every kind of learner that we work with. And supporting them are over 300 employer partners, 166 enterprise advisors and 16 strategic employer partners, and I'll take a deeper dive into the different ways that you can get involved later on. Next slide, please, Hannah. So why does careers education matter? Next slide, please. So careers education really does play a critical role in shaping a young person's future. Young people are required to make important decisions earlier than we realise, about subjects, about qualifications, about pathways, and often without a clear understanding of the full range of options that are available to them. And high quality careers education helps make those decisions with more confidence. But an effective careers programme, regardless of whether a young person is in year 7 or up to year 13, really starts to raise aspirations and broaden horizons. It improves engagement, motivation. We see attainment increase as well as a result of it. It supports social mobility and reduces inequality, and supports informed subject and pathway choices, along with improved transitions into further education, training and employment. And I think there's a couple of statistics that I'm about to share with you, which I always find really fascinating. But research consistently shows that sustained encounters with employers really do have such a positive impact on outcomes, particularly for students who may not have access to professional role models or networks at home. And research shows that a young person who has just 4 or more meaningful encounters with an employer is 86% less likely to be unemployed or not in education or training, and can earn up to 22% more in their career just by linking more with employers. Next slide, please, Hannah. And employers really do play an essential role in careers education. If you'd just like to go to the next slide. And Minerals Matter is no exception, and we couldn't do this without you. So your involvement really helps us to make the sector visible and accessible. It helps to challenge misconceptions. It demonstrates the diversity of roles, skills and pathways that are available, and it supports the development of a future workforce. And the next slide, please, Hannah. And your sector is a real, it's fundamental to infrastructure, sustainability and economic growth, yet many young people maybe have little understanding of the range of careers that it offers, and often perceptions are maybe narrowed or outdated, and engaging with schools is not just about providing inspiration. It's about this long-term workforce, the workforce planning, addressing skills shortages and ensuring that young people are aware of the opportunities within vital local industries as well. So if you could go through to the next slide, and the next slide as well, sorry. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of the Gatsby benchmarks. So the Gatsby benchmarks here, in which there are 8 of them, provides the national framework for careers education and consists of 7 key areas. So a stable careers programme, learning from career and labour market information, addressing the needs of each pupil, linking curriculum learning to careers, encounters with employers and employees, experiences of the workplace, encounters with further education, and guidance as well around careers. And these benchmarks really help schools structure careers education in a way that's really progressive, inclusive and evidence-based as well. And today I will just focus a little bit more on Gatsby benchmark 6, experiences of the workplace, because this is where especially this academic year, that we're seeing employer involvement is absolutely central to the work that we're doing and what schools are looking for. So if you want to go to the next slide, please, Hannah. So Traditionally, work experience often consisted of maybe a one-off placement with limited preparation and little reflection. Students might observe the workplace but struggle to really understand how it connects to their learning or their future choices. And modern work experience now looks very different. So today, the emphasis is on clear purpose and learning outcomes, preparation before the experience, really structured activities within there, all linked to skills and roles and engagement, with feedback coming from the employer as well. So the focus is no longer simply on spending maybe, 1 or 2 block weeks in a workplace making cups of tea, which maybe many of us will have done, but it's kind of now on that real quality and impact of the experience. And whereas before it really sat within kind of year 10, we're now starting these experiences of the workplace from year 7, so that by the time a young person finishes school, they should have had at least 10 days worth of experiences. If you just go to the next slide. And as I mentioned, it's probably very different from what many of us on the call experienced. So I'd now like to have maybe thinking of work experience as experience of the workplace instead, where it's made up of multiple experiences that are progressive, really varied, so that a young person is able to explore, gaining a deeper knowledge and insights around an array of sectors and roles that are available to them. And these opportunities can be in school, off-site, they can be online and hybrid too, so long as it's meeting 7 requirements that schools need to follow to be able to make experience of the workplace meaningful, which includes maybe, a task that you'd find in the workplace, meeting different different people of various levels within an organisation, and getting that employer feedback as well. And the next slide. Okay, so getting involved. I know all of you on the call today are STEM ambassadors, and in order to I guess keep that status, you need to commit hours, and this is where we can really support you at the Careers Hub. We have loads and loads of hours on offer. With 175 schools and colleges, you can imagine how much support schools are really looking for from employers. And there are a number of different ways that you can get involved and find something that really suits you the most in terms of what you're wanting to shape that and how much time that you have on offer. So you just go to the next slide. So here, I know this is probably very tiny writing maybe on your screen, but you will get these slides shared with you. But here are just some of the ideas of how you can support and how you can get involved. Importantly, how your skills and experience can really make a difference in schools to young people. Now, I won't run through the exhaustive list, and there's even a lot more ways that you can get involved than what I'm sharing right now, but this will give you a sense of the range of opportunities and the impact that you can have. Of course, exactly what you work on with a school would depend on the school's unique needs, where your expertise and your strengths lie, but across the board, your insights and your connections are really invaluable. So as an example, connect local businesses and industry professionals and alumni. So this is one of the most powerful ways that you can support a school, by connecting them with the wider world of work. And this could be introducing them to other key contacts that you have within your network, or even helping them shape their alumni program. How can we get other young people or previous students that have been within their school standing in front of the students that are in schools today? Another one is bringing curriculum learning to life. So I had a volunteer who was working with a school, and the school really wanted wanted more support with the geography department. So the employer worked really closely with the geography teacher, and they started to review the geography curriculum and help the teacher to really map different lessons to different roles in her industry. And with this, it was just quick 5-minute kind of starters for each lesson, but the impact that this had on the students was huge, because they could really start to understand why they were learning about that certain topic and how that actually related to the world of work. Evaluating effectiveness of careers programmes. So you can also support a school by evaluating their careers programme. This might be looking at initiatives that they're already working on, suggesting improvements, or helping to measure outcomes. So as another example, I had a school who were just doing CVs, and their employer partner, the volunteer that worked with that school, explained that as part of the recruitment process at their organisation, people have to apply by application forms and doing assessment centres. So together, the career leader and the employer started to create a session to really incorporate this into students' learning. So they got to do mock assessment days and application form sessions, just to kind of really upskill their knowledge so they felt better prepared. And as I mentioned, this list isn't exhaustive, but it just gives you a flavour of the wide range of ways that you can support schools and colleges. And you don't have to do this alone either. The team of education and employment advisors that I have would work with you really closely with the schools that you're working with. So the next slide, please. Okay, so we have 3 main ways that you can really get involved. So the first one is an employer advisor. This is a strategic, longer term role where an individual works with one-to-one with a school or a college, supporting the career leader with planning, employer engagement, understanding labour market needs. So it might be a school that's local to you, it might be a school that you used to go to, or maybe your children go to, or you've just got particular interest of working with that school. This is that one-to-one partnership where you would work with them over a period of time. The next way is give an hour. So this is where this is maybe a little bit more flexible, a little bit more ad hoc, and can work to your needs. So this would focus on maybe shorter activities, such as maybe given an hour to be involved in a mock interview or a careers fair or give a talk. And these are really valuable, and we've got a whole menu of different given hour opportunities that you can get involved with. And finally, work experience projects. So this is maybe where you would design a skill-based project, either by yourself or in little clusters with a group, and you link it to your organisation or your role, and this can be delivered to students either in person or virtually, and it's something that essentially teachers can lift and be replicated in different lessons across multiple schools. So it's very much about bringing that work experience to life, maybe based on a real industry challenge or something that really focuses on those transferable skills, so that it's delivered flexibly and is really easy for schools to adapt as well. Next slide, please, Hannah. So just a couple of top tips. When working with young people, engagement is key, and there's some really simple but effective tips to include. And I'd say it's just about being human. Yes, you know, we're all professionals, and when we're at work, we've got our work hat on, but sometimes it's just letting young people see that actually we were like them, we were in their shoes at one point, and it's just being kind of really approachable, really authentic, explaining how roles and tasks really connect to real world outcomes, really start to bring what they're learning to life so that it gives them meaning. Really sharing honest career journeys. You know, young people maybe think that it's a really kind of I want to do that and I'm going to stay on that path forever. But as we all know, we've all maybe had different jobs and gone into different industries, and it's starting to share that actually it's okay to fail sometimes, and things happen for a reason. But actually, it's the skills that we've got to overcome those challenges and changes in direction. Try and make it as interactive as possible, and really encourage that kind of question and discussion element as well. But as I mentioned, you do not have to do this alone. The support that you got from the Careers Hub, we would be with you every step of the way, so that not only the school but yourselves really feel supported and get the most from this experience. And then the final slide.
Yep.
So yeah, I'd just like to say thank you. And if you would like to get involved, or want any more further information, this presentation will be circulated, but our email address is there for any other questions that you might have following this. But I'm happy to take some questions on the call today if anybody's got any.
Thanks, Lauren. I think that was really useful for people to understand a bit more about the role of careers hubs, and obviously that there's a lot of similarities between what we do in the careers hub. So as much as we can work together with careers hubs, the better. I guess what I just wanted to explain was, although Lauren is from the MCA Careers Hub in the East Midlands, the careers hubs are all across the UK, so you will have a careers hub in your regions. So if you want to connect with your local careers hub, you're not already connected, let us know. There is actually a website online through the Careers and Enterprise Company where you can search for your local careers hub and it will bring up the contacts. So what Lauren has explained they offer in the East Midlands is very similar across the whole of the UK. So I just wanted to make that clear. Ian, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Hannah. Lauren, brilliant. Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to plug, since I live in Wales, for Careers Wales. So it's just slightly different in Wales. But as Hannah correctly said, there's careers hubs all over the UK. But Careers Wales are easy to contact. They have a similar sort of network that I work with quite a lot. Just for the activities, I mean, lots of schools are asking me now and have done for the last 2 years about mock interviews. That's really easy for everyone to do. Business speed networking, that's very commonly done throughout lots of schools. That's easy. And then I get maximum engagement through Kit Kats. And so I do a talk about minerals and careers for about 30 minutes to an hour, and Kit Kats as a prize. We make it a competition, so it's really good fun and engaging. So lots of those activities are really quite easy to do. So if anybody needs any support, as Hannah said, there's lots of help available for people who want to give it a go and jump into a local school and have some great fun. Thanks, Hannah.
Ian, any other? Have we got an hand up? No. Any other questions or comments before we move on? Lauren, I think it's really useful. Definitely information that we can all take on board. And we've got connections obviously with the Careers Hub, so anyone that is local to the East Midlands, if there's anything you want to pick up on, you can do that obviously through Lauren or through myself, and I can get in touch with them. And yeah, we'll share your slides after. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Lauren.
So we're going to move on to Bethany, if that's all right with you, Bethany, to share a little bit more. Bethany's done some great work in local schools, so we just wanted her to kind of have the platform, I suppose, to share a little bit more about what she's been involved in, and how she's adapted different kind of content to different ages. So I'll just bring your slides up, Bethany.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, is that showing all right?
Brilliant, yeah.
Just let me know when you need me to go on.
Will do. Morning all. Thank you so much, Hannah and Susie, for allowing me to speak to you guys this morning. So you'll tell from some of the presentations that I've basically just mashed together some of the most important slides from some of the presentations I've done. And one of the first ones I wanted to talk to you guys about was this presentation that I did that was for year 3 and year 4. And this was one of the first times that I'd actually ever presented to sort of primary school age children. So it did test me a little bit. And I decided to, in the end, because I was thinking, how am I going to get across the job I do as a mineral surveyor to year 3 and year 4. So I went for, welcome to the world of rocks, fossils and dinosaurs, and they absolutely loved it. So Hannah, would you mind moving on one slide, please? Thank you. I started off by talking a little bit because I wasn't certain the level of knowledge that they would have for primary school age children. I wasn't certain whether they'd have even looked at the rock cycles, whether they would understand what rocks are. So I went very basic, very easy for the students to look at, as well as sort of feel and see. And we started off with what the 3 different types of rocks are. And we started off with sedimentary, metamorphic and igneous. In addition to rocks, as I say, we also talked about fossils and dinosaurs. So would you mind sliding on a page, please, Hannah? Is it working? Oh yeah, perfect. As
Sorry, I
part
got
of it,
stuck there.
don't worry, I think it's the some of the information on it. So as part of it, I wanted to try and make it as engaging as possible for students. I wanted it to be quite quick, easy for them to understand. And I took a couple of activities from The Future Is Mine, who I know that Minerals Matter have worked with on the rock boxes and some other bits of information. And these were 2 of my favourites because we had the rock cycle maze, so they could understand metamorphic igneous rocks and their environment in which they were formed. And in addition to that, we also did the word search. So I have to admit, going into it, I did think maybe the rock cycle word search would be a little bit difficult for the students. And I'm aware that there is a wide variety in a class, of 30 students. Some will be really quick at it, some will require a little bit more assistance, but they flew through it. They absolutely loved it. They found it really interesting. And some of the students even wanted to do it twice just to give it another go. So I would really recommend having a look at The Future Is Mine website, because these are just 2 of the activities that they do. They have lots of fantastic available opportunities. Next slide, please, Hannah. So I mentioned rocks. We also did dinosaurs, and again, I kept it very brief. I talked about, sort of what they were, how long ago they lived, but honestly, the students knew so many different types of dinosaurs. We had competitions as to how many dinosaurs you could name. We talked about movies in terms of Jurassic Park and really getting them involved. It was really sweet to see how excited they were about dinosaurs and rocks in general. Next slide, please, Hannah. And this was one of the activities that I used. I struggled to find activities actually specifically for dinosaurs for sort of year 3 and year 4 age students. And I landed on this one from Bite Size. There were, I think it was 4 or 5 of them in terms of that were dot to dots. And again, they absolutely flew through them. They loved them. They did all of them. And in the end, they were even colouring them in, taking them home to share with their parents. So I thought that was really sweet that they'd enjoyed it so much. Next slide, please, Hannah. I also, not only just talking about rocks and fossils, but also a little bit of history around them. And especially as a woman in STEM and a woman in science, I wanted to bring up Mary Anning and talk a little bit about her, a little cartoon image of her, and talking about sort of some of the careers, that have been before us, some of the women in particular that have pioneered research into STEM. And I thought Mary Anning was a really interesting addition for them. That led me into the next slide, please, Hannah, which was quiz time. So we just had a little bit of fun. They shouted out the answers. It wasn't too serious. We talked about the 3 types of rock, the age of the oldest rocks on Earth, 2 types of dinosaurs. As I say, they could name more dinosaurs than I could. It was phenomenal. And the name of the fossil hunter who lived between 1799 and 1847. I personally love adding just little quizzes into the talks that I do, whether they are for primary school age students or older students, because as Ian has said, it keeps them engaged. I might have to try the Kit Kat idea, I might get more answers. But they absolutely loved it. They were shouting out, they were enjoying it, they were enthused. And again, for me, if one of them enjoys it and they think about a career in the future in STEM, whether it's rocks, whether it's archaeology, whether it's ecology or anything, then for me, I've done a decent job. Next slide, please, Hannah. These are just some of the pictures from the talk that I gave. As I say, I took some samples in, so you can see one of the students in the centre holding an ammonite really carefully. I like to use samples, whether it's year 3s and year 4s or whether it's older students, because I think it's really good for them to see and hold it. I don't know about you guys, but as a child, when walking along the beach, I would pick up different types of rocks and I would find it really, really interesting, go away and learn about them. And the children here, again, absolutely love them, trying to understand about the different chambers in the ammonites, how they move, trying to visualize it. They find it fascinating. And you can also see a few images of the students actually giving the BBC bite-size Triceratops and dot to dots a go. You'll see that they had lots of different examples of them. And I'm glad to say that they really enjoyed it. The students had a great time, which was really positive for me. Next slide, please, Hannah. In addition to the year 3 and year 4s, which was a little bit of a change for me, as I've said, I routinely do presentations for either high school age students or college age students. And this was one that I recently did at a local sixth form college to geology and environmental science students. That is one of the things that I would say is really important, not just necessarily focusing on geology or geoscience or, having a wide variety. So we had the environmental science students because they also found it really interesting learning about the sustainability side of minerals, restoration, and they were things that they hadn't necessarily thought about or had connected to minerals when studying just straight geology. Next slide, please, Hannah. So I know as you click, you'll get more rocks coming up. So as you can see for this one, I also took in some rock samples. However, these were a little bit more difficult for the students. So not only did I have the images on the board, I also had rock samples that I took with me. I actually had some aggregates in different sizes so that the students could hold them, feel them, see what they look like. And again, we made it a game. We said, can you tell me what number 5 is, for example? And I said, I want to see what the metalliferous mineral in this is. I don't want to know what the white mineral is. And we had a bit of back and forth of, well, what is it, what can you use it for? And again, they really enjoyed it. It kept them engaged, kept them interested. And again, I think they really like to hold the minerals. They're quite tactile, and the things that we all enjoy. Next slide, please, Hannah. I always talk a little bit as a mineral surveyor, being quite a niche role, not necessarily being, I work in a quarry and I'm an operator and this is what I do. I talk a little bit about being a mineral surveyor. I talk about the variety of work we do. I try to keep my presentation sort of as short as possible so that the students, I don't have too much to read. I always emphasize what I'm talking about, and I like to include pictures. These are all sites that I've visited or projects I've worked on. And again, I talk about them, some of the rock samples. So you'll see at the top, there's Portland mine there. And on the first slide, we had dimension stone, and I will take in a piece of Portland stone and talk about it. I'll talk about the history of it and try and keep them engaged and pull them into whatever it is I'm talking about. Next slide, please, Hannah. One of the things that a lot of the schools like to talk about is sort of the day in the life, so that students can visualise what it is you do, because it's easy for me to sit here and say, some days I work in an office, some days I'm out on site, but what does that actually mean to someone who is 15? They've never worked in an office. So I always like to include a day in the life. I talk about what a typical day looks like. Does it include emails? Does it include phone calls, meetings, site inspections? Does it include networking, formal and informal? What is it that I really enjoy about my job? And this slide always leads on to that, because I'll talk about, getting out on site, enjoying networking with people, meeting people from different walks of life, that it is a 24 business, that there's never nothing to do. And I like to try and share some of my passion for the industry with the students. And I'd like to think that comes across. Next slide, please, Hannah. Again, as I say, I like to include site pictures. So this was just a quarry that I'd recently visited. And again, I think it helps it bring it to life for the students, because you don't necessarily get an understanding of what a quarry is like. Even for me, as somebody who studied geology, at university, I didn't even really visit a proper active quarry more than once as part of my degree, maybe twice. And I think, as a lot of people know, being in a quarry, the vast scale of them is so different to anything you've ever experienced. And again, I like to think that I try and get some of that across to some of the students and show them some of the awesome work that goes on in a quarry. Next slide, please, Hannah. We briefly mentioned this, so I won't, you don't have to watch them if you don't want to, but we can if you want to. I like to include a few different videos in my presentations because, again, I think it keeps them interested. Students nowadays, used to go on YouTube, watching different types of videos, and these are fantastic. I will say Hannah and Susie, because they give you a really brief but wide idea of the minerals industry as a whole. So this one is the global industry one. Next couple of slides, I've also shown one that you guys have done, restoration, quarry operators, the scale of it. They're absolutely fantastic, and you can embed them really easily. It's also 2 to 3 minutes where you're not talking, which again, I think probably keeps students more interested. So I would really recommend those. I'm sure Hannah will be able to share links, but I just go on to the Minerals Matter website, YouTube, and they're on there. Next slide, please, Hannah.
Yeah, I won't play them. I won't play them, Bethany, just because of the time and stuff. But they are all on the, as Bethany said, they're on the YouTube channel. So you can pick them up and use them. But I'd say exactly the same. They give a really good introduction to young people for the industry.
Absolutely.
Skip through them if I can.
Yeah, it sometimes can get a bit stuck. Try clicking on the
there again.
rather than the video.
Yeah.
So I'd mentioned about rock samples that I take in, and some aggregates as well, because again, I don't think students products and how they feed in terms of quite some of the main mineral products. We use essential materials. We talk about critical minerals. So I talk about essential minerals, and you see I list a few of them. Again, we've got dimension stones, so I try and link it back. Next slide, please, Hannah. Again, you can skip this one then. So as I say, I included 3 or 4 with the push towards critical minerals, as I'm sure we're all aware. Because I think you necessarily understand, I would say that this is something I only tend to include in the college performance, is that they don't understand what critical minerals are, nor where they impact in the sustainable shift that we've seen in our everyday lives in terms of smartphones. Because some of the colleges I've been to, the students will have their iPhones on the desk, but they won't necessarily understand the quantity of critical minerals, the different types of critical minerals that are in there. We talk about the ethicality of it, the mining of it, and that can feed into some interesting conversations as well. The differences by how they worked. I don't just talk about turbine electric cars and smartphones as well. And this is a really good one. This is from the item. So it's the moment.
Just to highlight this one, this is the video that we use a lot because it's short. It was developed by the FDA, and we just put kind of a Minerals Matter branding on at the start. But it's really snappy, and it just talks about what the minerals are used for. So for a young person, they can really relate it back, like Bethany said, to the products that they use and what they understand. We are looking at whether we can either find something that's already out there or commission something that does the same sort of thing but more for the mining industry and critical minerals and that sort of thing, because this is kind of a bit more focused around mineral products. But yeah, I would say this is on our YouTube channel, and it's really, really useful to have in slides and things like that.
And as I've previously mentioned, I like to talk a little bit about minerals industry and sustainability, because I'm conscious that not everybody in the classroom will love rocks and that will be their passion, that they could be interested in, as I say, you know, being an environmental scientist, ecology. And I always like to say that the minerals industry is huge. You don't just have to be one thing. You know, in a daily job as a mineral surveyor, I work with ecologists, I work with planners. There are lots of different roles within our industry, and I like to try and highlight that. But one of the things I also like to talk about for sustainability and minerals it is the sustainable practices that we're shifting towards and the benefits that our industry can have, biodiversity net gain, the restoration to create wildlife habitats, because, and I'm sure you're all aware, there are a lot of negative connotations with our industry. And I'm not saying that, you know, we can defeat them all, but if I can go into a classroom and students can maybe come out of it thinking, well, actually the minerals industry, you know, in terms of restoration, I've walked around Apedale, for example, which is a local, you know, ex-colliery to me, and that's a wonderful wildlife habitat now. So I always like to include something about sustainability in my presentations. Next slide, please, Hannah. Again, as Lauren had previously said, I always include a slide about how to get involved. I talk about SLR as is my workplace of business, but I also include Minerals Matter and forward them over to the website, because obviously there are some incredible facts on there, the case studies, day in the life, it's absolutely fantastic for students. And from the geology background, I also include about the British Geological Society student membership, because that is free and it's a great way for them to get involved. I think as they get older, it's something like £5 or 15. You get access to the Geoscientist magazine, and again, it just, you know, keeps them interested if they are considering a career in our industry, essentially. Next slide, please, Hannah. And I think from memory, this is my last one. Yes, and then this is just a few snaps from some of the presentations that I've done. I did a business breakfast at a local school and we got a really good turnout, actually. The students were really interested. Again, the college is the one in the centre that you can see. That was the one where they were very focused on the smartphone discussion that we were having, and then the year 3 and year 4. I love just getting out and talking to students. And as I say, one of the things for me that is really important is being a woman in STEM, you know, going to these kind of places where students are considering their options. And I want to be able to, you know, show girls that it is an option for you. You can do sort of anything you want to. And one thing I've said, I think quite a bit, is that if you can't see it, you can't be it. And that's the things I like to do. So yeah, that's everything from me. If you've got any questions, let me know. I've seen a few things have popped up in the chat and I'm happy to answer.
Amazing. Thank you, Bethany. I think it's amazing what you've achieved in the time that you've been an ambassador, but sort of sharing it with everybody and particularly how you've developed different content for different ages, I think is fantastic. So hopefully that gives some really sort of great examples for people. Just looking at some of the comments. Simon, as one mineral surveyor to another, love seeing your presentation. Great job and so varied.
Thank you, Simon.
We take drones into school and we race the kids against the drones. That's a good one. That's impressive. Love the day in the life idea. Yeah, that's a really good one. Ben sharing time for geology video on mining includes careers explanation of rocks. Brilliant. Yes, we'll share Bethany's presentation. It will be in probably PDF format just because of the size, but yes, we will share that after. Interesting. Excellent. Yeah, we'll put a link in the email about the mineral mission briefcase as well.
I've put it in the chat as well in case anyone wants to go straight to it.
Brilliant. That's amazing. Any other questions? Not in the chat that anyone wants to ask? Got a little bit of time, so feel free. I had a question actually, in case anyone else is thinking. When you talked about it for the primary activity, you had the dots, the dinosaur. Did you take those as like physical papers into the school well as having it on the screen.
I did, yes. Yeah. So I had sort of 2 manila folders full of them. And I did more than we needed. And as I say, I'm glad I did, because the students got through them so quickly. We were sort of, they were doing them again. It was really incredible how interested they were and how quickly they flew through them. But yes, I did. The school did offer as well enough to photocopy them. They would have existed if I'd have needed it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for the primary, you know, I think people are quite used to putting together PowerPoint presentations, aren't they, things like that. But I think having to call isn't it the samples, and that's like with the mineral mission boxes as well. Those hands-on things make such a difference.
Absolutely. I think they find it more interesting because they have shorter attention time. You'd expect to keep them a little bit more engaged, and that's why I like doing the different activities with them. And I'm sure it's the exact same with the minerals mission briefcases.
Excellent. Brilliant. So if there's no other questions, what we wanted to also, someone that we wanted to give some insights as well is Richard from Anglo American, which I'll let you explain your role and the project. But Richard has a role that is focused on engagement with the community and with schools. So we thought it would be interesting to hear from that perspective, as well as Bethany and as Lauren from the Careers Hub, someone who's, I guess, your job day in, day out is this kind of community engagement and working with young people. So I'll hand over to you, if that's all right, just to give some of your thoughts on this sort of work.
Yeah. Thank you very much, and thank you for all so far. And I've only just prepared a couple of thoughts, particularly aimed at anybody who is about to go into a secondary school for the first time. Is feeling there's a few tips and tricks from somebody who's done it a few times. So my name's Rich Adams. I work for Anglo American. I'm based at the Woodsmith Polyhalite mine near Whitby in North Yorkshire. My background has been in university outreach, and I've spent most of my career in disadvantaged areas, supporting disadvantaged young people. So before I talk about any tips and tricks, I just wanted to shout out for those on the call who are not necessarily from a STEM background. I can see our Jules there, one of our members of staff, that there are opportunities in schools through this network, through the STEM Ambassador Network, but also through your organisations and direct with schools for things, as has already been mentioned, things like the mock interviews that are a nice, easy way into engaging with our schools. So there are lots of opportunities that don't necessarily need you to have a STEM background. So then you're still welcome very much on the scheme and on this call. So I've scrolled down a few notes. So my first thing about going into secondary schools, particularly in disadvantaged areas, is don't expect miracles. That was the first thing I wrote down, was don't expect a miracle. And I reflect on the first times I went into secondary school, and I stood with my carefully prepared PowerPoint presentation, expecting them to sit rapt as they soaked up my immense wisdom. And of course, it didn't work out quite like that, because I wasn't I wasn't speaking to them from where they were coming from, if you see what I mean. So I would say don't expect a miracle, but at the same time also don't expect a disaster. I've been into hundreds and hundreds of schools over the time that I've been doing this kind of work, and they are very, very much better places than you sometimes read about in the press. So don't think of a secondary school as some terrifying place and all young people much not. They might be in a slightly different place than we are currently, because we're in our careers and so on. So don't expect a miracle, don't expect disaster, would be my two opening remarks. The second, and it's already been said, is be yourself. You're not a teacher, and that's the advantage. So you're not supposed to be a teacher. They want somebody in from business who is different to a teacher, that you find a different response to outside influences than you do to teachers, because they listen differently. So remember that you're not a teacher, and that in itself is important. Already been mentioned about attention spans and interaction. We should treat young people as we would like to be treated ourselves. So we would like things to be interactive. We would like things to be engaging. We would like to be able to touch, or we would like to be able to try for ourselves. So where we can, if you're going in to do a workshop, make it as interactive as you can. I love the things on the previous presentation around mobile phones and things, because I'd made a note to myself of respect the world that the young people are in. So if they are interested in the TikToks and the telephones and the gaming or whatever it might be, in your conversations, use that to your advantage rather than recoil from it. So I really like that. The other thing I've found over the years is there's nothing like a bit of praise. So provide as much praise as possible for the young people. If they answer a question, if they answer one of my questions right, you'd think they'd just, discovered a new planet, because I'm so delighted that they've got this question right. And sometimes I've found that I'll be praising young people in a school who are constantly in trouble with their school, and the school will say, how did you get such nice things out of that young man there, because we've had terrible trouble with him. Well, because I didn't know him, so I didn't go in with any preconceived ideas that this youngster was going to be problematic, and then suddenly I've given him a bit of praise. All I said was, that's absolutely brilliant, wow, well done you, and suddenly I've got him on my side and we're all friends. So praise goes a very long way. The other thing I found, and this is just a little tip, is to have a spare activity. So when I was actually delivering a workshop, if it finished too early and the teacher was at the back just marking books and ignoring me and hoping that they didn't have to do any engagement with their pupils for this lesson, it was really useful to have a simple little additional activity handy. So I always had a little quiz in my back pocket, a little fun quiz based around either what I'd been saying or something in the to do with the workshop. And Kit Kats were mentioned. I think Kit Kats are brilliant, and don't be afraid of having some prizes. I usually have some little corporate things, and Jules and other Anglo people on the call, I've got lots of little pencils and rubbers and various things that we can give out as prizes when people get the quiz right or what have you. So that was it really in terms of my tips and tricks. Apart from just to reiterate that for many young people, they're not thinking, particularly in disadvantaged young people in the middle of secondary school, year 9, whatever it might be, they're not thinking about careers very often. They're thinking about how they can survive that day or how they can get through that week. And what we're doing is bringing them and showing them lots of things. So we're taking them to see the sites of whatever the bits of our industry are and saying, I wonder if this might be of interest to you. So we're showing them, we're giving them exposure to something that they wouldn't necessarily be exposed to in any other way. And an old quote that came from conversations I used to have when I was in university outreach is, we can't aspire to what we don't know exists. And so a lot of young people will have no idea that within an industry like mining, like within minerals, there are loads and loads of different types of jobs. I've got an English background. I'm English and then music, and here I am working for a multinational mining corporation. But sitting next to me are designers, behind me are environmental scientists, over there is a legal team, etc. So I think trying to bring to life that within these industries, their own skills, their own interests could find a home in these bigger corporate structures. So that's all I wanted to say, Hannah and Susie. I hope that was of some use, the musings of an old fellow.
Brilliant, Rich. No, it's great. Thank you.
Yeah, really useful. I think especially around, what to expect in a school, that it's not all, they're not all just going to sit and listen to you because you're someone new coming in. These young people have all got all sorts of things that they're dealing with. So, yeah, I've learnt in my time of going into schools not to take things personally. You know, if someone is just not listening, it's not necessarily because I might, you know, it might not be that interesting to them, but it's, yeah, that it might be because of a whole host of things, which I guess teachers deal with day in, day out. But
Yes, and
yeah, I think that was really
the
useful.
teachers will almost certainly know if there's a young person that's going through all kinds of different things in their life, and that they are used to that young person not showing signs of active engagement or active listening. But for us as outsiders, sometimes we've, you know, particularly if that was happening in a business meeting here, we might be offended by it. But there's no need to be offended by it in a classroom setting. We need to understand that young people are all at different points in their journey. Some will be rapt, some will be completely engaged and on it, and they'll be full of questions, particularly about dinosaurs, I've found, but for which I have no answers. But yeah, they're all at different parts of their journey, so give them a bit of flex. That's not to say that you know, we respect their world, and it's not to say that you shouldn't expect respect in return. So the teachers should always be, I guess normally there would be a teacher there with you, and you can always just say, right, I'll stop and let Mr. or Miss Smith deal with this whilst and then I'll come back to what we were saying. So you don't have to be a teacher.
Brilliant. Thank you, Rich. That was really, really helpful. So yeah, that is our content for today. Any other final questions for Bethany or Richard before we wrap up? Some great stuff in the chat, so hopefully everyone's got answers to any questions they've asked in the chat, and obviously we'll distribute slides through. I'll perhaps just put some of the key points, Rich, that you've mentioned in the email, just to summarize your little bit. So hopefully that has been useful to kind of kick our meetings off for this year. Some good insights and things that hopefully you can take forward. Susie and I are here if anyone needs to ask questions about anything or any of those resources that you want access to, please let us know. Our next meeting, which is on the 22nd of April, is going to focus on sustainability. So when we asked some questions last year from ambassadors about what sort of topics they wanted to cover, sustainability was one that came up quite a lot. So we're going to source some speakers who can give some updates around kind of what's happening sustainability wise across the sector. So we'll share more about that as we get a bit closer to the date. The date has been sent out to any very new ambassadors that it may not have come through, but we'll make sure that it gets sent out again to everybody. Susie, was there anything you wanted to pick up on or mention before we finish?
No, I think thank you very much to our speakers. I think there's some really great insights there from a different range of opinions and different range of job roles. And I think for us, you know, and ambassadors going into schools, is trying to create that little spark that the students will then want to find out more. And hopefully if we give them sparks like that throughout their education journey, and just create awareness of the minerals sector. You know, personally, I never thought I'd be working in the minerals sector. I didn't know what it was at, you know, right up to probably university level. So as long as we can keep providing those experiences and exposure to the sector, I think, you know, whatever you do will be really well received. So thank you to everybody for the work that you do.
And we will gift you with 8 minutes back for your day. Yes, and we'll be in